Well, Coach, it's no secret that you're a regular up at Horse Creek. What's the best you've ever shot up there?
I've shot 64 twice up there.
Is that the Horse Creek record?
No, they've got. I think from the Bluetooth, the record is 61 or 62. I'm not sure that the guy that's in charge now keeps up with the course records. He may, but I don't see. They used to have a plat or a board that had people's names and what they had shot, and I don't see that board anymore, so I don't know if he even keeps up with it. But I know at one time from the Bluetooth it was like 61 or 2, and from the Gold Tees it was like 65, I think, or it might have been a little higher than that. I'm not sure.
Where did your love for golf come from?
Well, my uncle was a golfer, and he gave me his clubs. He was older, and he gave me his clubs when he quit playing, and we started playing. There was 3 or 4 of us that just started playing at a little 9-hole course there, a few miles from home. You try. We played everything. I mean, I played football, basketball, and baseball, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to play golf, and honestly didn't play much. When I went to school, I took a couple of golf classes, and that helped. And I played a little bit. Kind of got the bug. Now we played a good bit at school because they had a golf course at Alabama, the university course, and you could sign up or sign up and play relatively inexpensive. It was like $25 for the semester for students, and as long as you walked, and we always walked, and so it wasn't very expensive to play. So we played a lot while I was in school down there. And then when I moved up here, I got a job and moved up to this area. We played some, but actually I really didn't start playing a lot until I was probably in my 40s when I quit playing softball. I played softball a lot. I probably didn't play golf more than maybe once or twice a month until I quit playing softball. And then I kind of got interested in golf.
Well, as you mentioned, you went to the University of Alabama, and then you graduated and headed to Dora High School to coach. What was your connection to Dora prior to that?
I had no connection. I actually started at Dora Junior High. I graduated in December of 75, and I put in some applications in Tuscaloosa County. We actually wanted to stay somewhere around Tuscaloosa, and I put in applications, Tuscaloosa County, Tuscaloosa City, and I put in some applications in surrounding counties. And I looked, and Walker County we were living in Northport, and Oakman was only about 35, 40 miles. And I thought, well, there might be something open in that area. So I put in the application. About 3 weeks into January, I got a call from the Board of Education in Jasper, and they said they had an opening at Dora Junior High. I actually started at the junior high school, which is no longer there. It was in front. It was the old Dora High School, and is in front of what was now, or was in front of the mining museum down there in Dora. And so first time I'd ever been to Walker County, I came up and met with the superintendent, and he said they had a job. Larry Hollis was the coach there, and his father had become ill, and he had to take over the auto parts business, there's Theory Auto Parts, which he ran for 30 years. So I took that job, and from there we ended up moving up here, and I've been here since 1976.
Well, what first made you want to get into coaching? Were you involved a little bit with coaching when you were going to school at Alabama?
No, not really. I don't know, to be honest with you. Just I started off, and I was not going to coach, and then I got married, and I don't know. I guess I decided that was going to be, that was what I really wanted to do. I had to convince my parents that was, they weren't real happy with me going to be a teacher and a coach, but that was what I wanted to do. So I changed over and got into education. And I did work. Like I said, I was married, and we had a child pretty soon after that. And I had to work while I was going to school, and I worked for the Tuscaloosa County Park and Recreation. I ran, during softball season, I ran a park, and during basketball season, I ran a gym where they had, independent league tournament or independent league games. They had, Tuscaloosa County has pretty good park and recreation. They have a lot of church recreation, and they also have just independent leagues. And so I was involved in that for 3 years, and I enjoyed it. And so I thought I would like to coach, and I did. I coached 44 and a half years, so I guess you could say I really enjoyed it.
Well, I know a lot of us think of you as a basketball coach, but when you got to Dora, your first few years there, you guys actually went to a 4A state championship in '85 where you were the defensive coordinator. What was that year like? What kind of defense were you going with?
Well, I started at the junior high, and they took in 19. I want to say it was 79. They took our ninth grade. They moved the ninth grade, as they did everywhere else. They moved the ninth grades up to the high school. So we didn't have a football team anymore. So they moved my job up to the high school, and I helped 1 year at the high school while I was at the junior high. And then I got Coach Cox, who was the head coach, left, and there was a job opening, and I got that teaching position. And I was just assistant coach, and I learned some defense. A guy named Don Flippo was the head coach at that time, and I learned some defense from him. And after 2 or 3 years, I became the defensive coordinator. And really, to be honest, we ran the same thing that Coach Flippo had run when he was the defensive coordinator. We ran a 4-3, not the same type of 4-3 that most people run now. We ran it was called the Texas A&M 4-3, and it was more based on stopping option game than anything else, because at that time, back in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a lot of option football. Everybody wanted to run the wishbone because Alabama was running it, and everybody ran the wishbone or the veer and ran a lot of option stuff. So we had some really good players that year in '85, and we got to the finals. We played at Colbert County in probably the coldest game I've ever coached. It was about 25 degrees, and the wind was blowing about 25 miles an hour. And it was a brutal game. And we lost 26-13, and we were talking about this today at the gym. Had the weather been good, I think we had a good chance. We had a good passing game. we had a quarterback named John Gant that went to it was Livingston at that time, West Alabama now, but he quarterbacked 3 or 4 years at Livingston and held up until they got to where they threw the ball every down. He held, record for most yardage passing down there. He was a good quarterback. We had some good receivers, and that the weather kind of limited some of the things that we could do. And we got, like I said, we got beat 26-13. But had we been able to, had the weather been better, I'd like to think we had a pretty good chance.
Well, you have a lot of success at Dora, and then you go to Gardendale in 1996 and have success, and you go to the Final Four in 1999. You go 258 and 119 during your time there until 2018. You're inducted into the Gardendale High School Hall of Fame. You're the golf coach. It just seems like you're a jack of all trades. What went into that decision to go to Gardendale from Dora?
Well, there were a couple of things. There was a change in the administration at Dora, and it was becoming harder and harder to be successful. There were some things that were between the football coach and the administration. There were some things that were made it difficult to be successful. And my youngest son graduated in '96. That was after his senior year, I was offered a position at Gardendale. He was going to go to college. My wife had a job at that time, not a great job, and it was going to be about $6,000 a year more to go to Gardendale. So between those things, the money and the situation at Dora, I just felt like it was the right move to make for me and my family. And to be honest, I had no idea things would turn out as well as they did. I was very fortunate. They had not won any. They had won 3 games the year before I went, and 5 the year before that, and had kids that were really hungry to do well. And I inherited a good group of seniors that first year, but also a tremendous group of freshmen that first year that I went over there. And matter of fact, one of those guys, Chris Campbell, started at point guard from the second game of his freshman year for 4 years. And we had some other really good basketball players in that group, and we just were very fortunate over there. I had that group. That was 4 good years with those guys. We won 18 games the first year and 18 the second year. The third year, in '99, we go to the Final Four and we win 31 games. And the next year, when that group were seniors, I toughened the schedule up because, we had been to the Final Four and we knew we were going to be pretty good. And we toughened the schedule up and played a lot of good teams, and we still went 29-5. So we won 60 games in 2 years with that group. And then about 3 or 4 years later, I had another really, really good group come through. We went to the Final Four in '99, and we got to the regional finals in 2000, and got to the regional finals again in 2003 or 4. I'm not sure exactly, but we just had a really good string. I was there 12 years, and we had one losing season in 12 years, and that was 14 and 15. So that 14 and 15, if you're going to have a losing season, that's not a bad one to have. So we were, fortunate. Good. You always have to have good players. We had good players at Dora. The last few years I was at Dora, we were, we got to Tuscaloosa in '90 and '91, at that time, they didn't have the Final Four. They had 8 teams went to the state tournament just before they merged the boys and the girls state tournaments. And we got to Tuscaloosa in 90 and 91. 95, we dropped down from 5A to 4A at Dora, and we went to the Final Four in 95. So, you always have to have good players. Coaching has some part to do with it, but honestly, I think the coaching is not as important. It's like riding a horse. The jockey can do a little bit, but if you don't have a good horse under you, you're not going to win many races.
Well, Coach, what does it mean to you to have been able to take 2 different high schools to the Final Four?
Well, I guess it's an honor, and it's also a little bit of it makes you feel like, well, I had a good career because it wasn't just at one place. I had a good career at 2 places. And to be honest, you were at Summerton Christian for a couple of years there. We went to the regional twice at Summerton Christian, and that's as far as Summerton's ever gone is to the regional. And we got to the regional twice, and honestly, unless they come up with some better players than what we usually had over there, that's about as good as you're going to get as the regional at Summerton. And so that was an accomplishment. For those kids, that was a big accomplishment. We felt good about getting to the regional and winning. I think we won 20 games 4 times in 9 years over there, and that was good. So I guess in answer to your question, if you can do it at one place, it might be the place, but if you can do it at 2 or 3 places, then you feel maybe that you have a little bit to do with it anyway.
Well, I think it's safe to say that you've had success at all 3 schools you've been to. I mean, when you were at Sumner Christian, you averaged 17 wins a season over your 9 years there. Was there an adjustment going to Sumner Christian with it being a private school versus a public school?
There's some adjustment in that it was a lot smaller school. Dora was a 5A school for the most of the time I was there. Gardendale was a 6A when I went, and then 5A for most of the time. So those 2 schools were, roughly the same size. You go to Summerton, and we were either 1A or 2A every year I was there. So you're dealing with a lot smaller number of kids. The game is the same, but maybe what you can get out of the kids is a little different, just because there's not as many good players at Summerton as there were at Gardendale or Dora. Now, your top couple of guys, could probably have played at Gardendale or Dora, but those other guys would have probably either not been on the team or been subs. So you have to kind of change your coaching philosophy a little bit. I think, to be honest, I made the most improvement probably going from Dora to Gardendale. A lot of times at Dora, we had better athletes than the people that we played, and you do certain things, and you get to thinking those are the right things, and because you have better athletes, they are the right things to do. But then when you go to Gardendale and you're playing against people that have as good or better athletes than you've got to do more basketball stuff and not as much athletic. You've got to teach more skills. You've got to teach, I guess, the right way to do it. And that probably helped me when I went to Summerton, because at Summerton Christian, we didn't have better athletes than many people. that we played. You know, occasionally, if we had a really good team, we would be better. We would have better athletes. But for the most part, you have to teach basketball and basketball skills and teach how to play. And, you know, you're not going to, we were never going to out athlete Parrish or Vincent or people like that.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate it. You're a legend, and I'm grateful I got to play for you. And I know I can speak for a lot of other people when I say that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, that you're very kind to say that. And I'll say this and to finish this up. I coached basketball 44 and a half years. I was varsity coach for 35 years. I never felt like that it was really ever a job. It was something that I enjoyed, and I had a good time doing it. And, you know, they say if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I pretty much, you know, was fortunate, had a good career and enjoyed the football and the basketball. And I enjoy coaching golf at Gardendale. Coaching is coaching. You try to teach and get everybody on the same page and get them to work together. And, you know, I appreciate you saying you're real kind to say that stuff. But I felt like I was fortunate to do what I did.